The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep rumble that echoed through the crystal walls. Ambassador Kim Gisu walked forward, her black boots clicking against the polished floor. Around her, hundreds of alien beings sat in curved rows that stretched up toward the ceiling like a giant bowl. Some of the aliens looked like walking trees with glowing leaves. Others had skin that changed colors like oil on water. In the far corner, creatures made of what looked like living metal hummed softly to themselves. The air smelled strange, like flowers mixed with electricity, and something she could not name. Kim Jisoo had practiced this moment for months. She carried a small device that would translate her words into over 300 different alien languages at once. Earth's best scientists had worked for years to prepare the documents she held in her hands. Honored members of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice steady and clear. I am Kim Jisoo, speaking for the planet Earth and all humanity. We come before you today to request membership in your great community of civilized worlds. A soft murmur went through the crowd. Some aliens leaned forward to get a better look at her. Others seemed to be whispering among themselves, though their whispers sounded like bird songs or rushing water. Kim Jisoo continued. Humanity has developed space travel, learned to communicate across the stars, and created art, music, and literature that speaks to the soul. We have cured diseases, built great cities, and learned to live in peace with each other. We believe we are ready to join you among the stars. She held up a crystal data storage device. Here are examples of our mathematics, our science, our culture, and our technology. We offer them freely as proof of our development. The chamber fell silent for a moment. Then, from somewhere high up in the rows of seats, came a sound that Kim Jisoo had never heard before. It was like metal scraping against glass, but somehow musical. She realized with growing horror that it was laughter. More sounds joined in. Clicks, whistles, deep booming noises, and high-pitched squeaks. The entire chamber was laughing at her. The translation device in her hand began speaking in dozens of voices at once as it tried to convert the alien comments. Mathematics, said a voice that sounded like breaking crystal. These creatures think. Counting to 10 billion is advanced computation. We calculated the birth and death of universes while their world was still cooling from stardust. A creature that looked like a giant lizard covered in bright blue scales stood up. Its voice was deep and rumbling. Their most powerful weapons still use controlled explosions to throw metal pieces. We abandoned such crude methods 50,000 years ago. They might as well be throwing rocks. From a group of floating, see-through beings came a sound like wind chimes in a storm. The translator worked hard to make sense of their words. They make decisions based on feelings instead of pure logic. Look how she stands there. We can see the anger and shame in her body language. No truly advanced species would be ruled by such base emotions. Kim Jisoo felt her face grow hot, but she forced herself to remain still. She had been warned this might happen. Earth's leaders had prepared her for the possibility of rejection, but not for this level of mockery. An ancient-looking being with 6 arms and skin like old leather raised one hand. The laughter stopped immediately. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of countless years. The Galactic Council has reviewed your species, humans. We find you lacking, the old being continued, each word falling like a stone. Your technology is primitive. Your thinking is clouded by emotions. Your lifespan is too short to develop true wisdom. Your wars show you cannot even live in peace with your own kind. You are barely more advanced than the animals that still live in your forests. Kim Jisoo felt something cold settle in her stomach, but she kept her face calm. She had promised her people she would maintain dignity, no matter what happened. The decision is final, the ancient being announced. Humanity is denied membership in the Galactic Council. Return to your small, distant world, perhaps in a few thousand years. If you manage to evolve beyond your current limitations, you may be worthy of reconsidering. The chamber erupted in more laughter and alien sounds of approval. Kim Jisoo stood in the center of it all, feeling very small and very alone. But she straightened her shoulders and looked directly at the ancient being who had pronounced judgment on her entire species. "I understand your decision," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber, despite the noise. "Humanity accepts your judgment today. We will remember this moment, and we will remember each of you who participated in it." Most of the aliens interpreted her words as the empty threat of a hurt child. They had no way of knowing that Kim Jisoo was not making a threat at all. She was making a promise, as she turned and walked back toward the great doors. None of the laughing aliens noticed the small smile that crossed her face. They had made their choice. Now humanity would make theirs. The doors closed behind her with a final, echoing boom. 3 months after the Council's rejection, something strange began happening across the galaxy. The humans simply vanished. Captain Lee Minho was among the last to be seen. His cargo ship, the New Busan, had been a regular visitor to trading stations throughout the Outer Rim. Alien merchants knew him well. He always paid fairly and never caused trouble. But on his final visit to Kepler Station, something was different. The blue-skinned station master Vexali noticed it first. "You are buying much more than usual, Captain Lee," she said, watching as humans loaded massive quantities of rare metals onto their ship. "Are you planning a long journey?" Lee Minho looked at her with an expression she could not read. "We will not need to trade much longer, Vexali. Thank you for your friendship over the years." Before she could ask what he meant, the human ship was gone, jumping to hyperspace faster than she had ever seen them move before. Similar scenes played out across hundreds of trading posts. Human merchants said goodbye to alien friends they had known for years. Human diplomats quietly closed their embassies. Human students studying at alien universities packed their belongings and went home without explanation. Dr. Park Sunhee had spent 5 years studying with the great philosophers on Zeph Prime. Her crystal-bodied teachers had grown fond of the curious human who asked so many questions. When she announced she was leaving, they were puzzled. "But your research is not complete," said Master Zelmoth, his crystalline form glowing with confusion. "You were making excellent progress understanding our mathematical theories." Park Sunhee smiled sadly. "I have learned everything I came here to learn, Master. Perhaps more than you realize." She left that same day, carrying nothing but a small bag of personal items. Her alien teachers never saw her again. Within 6 months, every human in alien space had vanished. The borders of human territory became silent. Ships that tried to enter human systems found their communications blocked. The few alien vessels that managed to get close to human worlds reported strange things before their signals cut out completely. Sensors detected massive construction projects in the Sol system. Energy readings spiked to levels that made no sense with known human technology. Most disturbing were the gravitational distortions. Space itself seemed to be bending around certain locations. Admiral Kexter of the Vorthan Empire reviewed these reports with his senior staff. The reptilian officer's scales shifted to show his amusement. "Look at these readings," he said, pointing at the data screens. "The humans are building something huge, probably monuments to make themselves feel better about their rejection." His aide, a younger Vorthan named Seklos, studied the numbers more carefully. "Sir, these energy signatures do not match anything in our databases. And these gravitational readings, they suggest the humans are manipulating space-time itself." Kextar's scales darkened with irritation. "Impossible. The humans barely understand basic physics. They probably broke some of their primitive equipment and do not know how to fix it." But Seklos was not convinced. He had met humans before and found them surprisingly clever, despite their emotional nature. Something about this silence worried him. On the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Yintel of the Kethmori was having similar concerns. She had been Earth's primary contact for cultural exchange and had grown to respect human creativity and determination. Their sudden withdrawal felt wrong to her. "They are not a species that gives up easily," she told the Kethmori Council. "In my studies of their history, I found that humans become most dangerous when they feel cornered or humiliated. We may have made a serious mistake." The Council dismissed her warnings. "They are a young species nursing wounded pride," the Council leader replied. "Let them build whatever toys comfort them. They will return when they realize they need us, more than we need them." But the humans did not return. As months turned to years, their silence became more complete. No human ship was seen anywhere in the galaxy. No human signal was detected. It was as if the entire species had simply decided the rest of the universe no longer existed. Trade routes that had included human goods began to feel the impact. The humans had been excellent miners and manufacturers. Their absence created shortages of certain materials and products. Several alien businesses that had depended on human trade started to fail. More disturbing were the intelligence reports that continued to trickle in. Automated probes sent toward human space simply vanished. Long-range telescopes detected strange lights and energy patterns around human worlds. Some showed what looked like massive rings being constructed around entire planets. Captain Yimsua, of the independent monitoring station Neutral, I was one of the few beings still trying to keep track of human activity. Her mixed crew of various alien species had always gotten along well with humans, and she was worried about her old friends. "I do not like this," she told her crew. "Humans do not just disappear. They are planning something big." Her engineer, an insectoid being called Clichter, agreed. "The energy patterns suggest they have made major breakthroughs in several areas of physics. But what are they building with all this power?" None of them could have imagined the truth. Deep in human space, in laboratories hidden behind walls of twisted space-time, the greatest minds of humanity were working around the clock. They had taken the mockery of the Galactic Council as a challenge, and humans had always been very good at meeting challenges. The silence was not surrender. It was preparation. The research station Kethmori, Deep Thought, had floated in the empty space between stars for over 200 years. Its crystal walls housed the most advanced thinking machines in the galaxy, working day and night to solve the mysteries of quantum physics. 53 of the galaxy's brightest scientists lived there, their minds linked together in perfect harmony. Dr. Zillaneth was reviewing the daily reports when she noticed something odd. The station's morning transmission to the Kethmori homeworld had not been sent. She floated over to the communication center, her translucent body glowing with concern. "Why have we not contacted home today?" she asked the communication officer. The officer, a younger Kethmori named Pelsim, looked confused. "I sent the transmission exactly on schedule, Doctor. The systems show it was delivered successfully, but when Zillaneth checked with the homeworld, they had received nothing. No signal, no data, no proof that the station even existed anymore." She felt a cold fear growing in her mind, something that Kethmori rarely experienced. "Send another message immediately," she ordered. "Include full status reports and our current research data." Pelsim tried again. The station's computers showed the message being sent, but the homeworld never received it. It was as if their signals were disappearing into empty space. That was when the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the station in red light. But something was wrong with the view outside. The stars that had surrounded them for 2 centuries were gone. Not blocked, gone. Outside the crystal walls was nothing but perfect blackness. "This is impossible," whispered Dr. Zillaneth. "Stars do not simply vanish." Her words were the last transmission ever received from Kethmori, Deep Thought. When rescue ships arrived at the station's coordinates 3 days later, they found empty space. No debris, no energy traces, No sign that anything had ever been there at all. The only clue was discovered on a nearby asteroid. Burned into its surface, in perfect Kethmori script, were the words, "Your judgment has been noted." The Kethmori Council tried to keep the disappearance secret, but word spread quickly through the galaxy's intelligence networks. Similar reports began coming in from other sectors. A Zephyrian mining platform in the Rigel system vanished overnight. The crystal harvest had been pulling rare metals from an asteroid field for 50 years. One day it was there. The next day the asteroid field itself was gone, not mined out, but completely absent, as if someone had erased it from reality. The Vorthan Empire lost an entire patrol fleet. 12 ships with 3,000 crew members simply stopped reporting during a routine hyperspace jump. When search teams followed their route, they found the ship's emergency beacons still transmitting, but broadcasting from empty space. Captain Rexmar led the search team. His scales turned pale with fear as he studied the readings. "The beacons are exactly where they should be," he reported to Admiral Kekstar. "But there are no ships here. The beacons are floating in space by themselves." "Impossible, Admiral," Kekstar replied. "Ships do not vanish. Check your instruments." But the instruments were working perfectly. The emergency beacons were sending signals that said all is well. Patrol continuing as planned, but the ships themselves no longer existed. Engineer C.H. Joe Deho worked at the independent monitoring station Neutral Eye, far from any government control. His job was to track ship movements and energy patterns across the galaxy. He was the first to see the real pattern. "Look at this," he told Captain Yemsua, pointing at his star charts. "The disappearances are not random. They form a spiral pattern, working inward from the galaxy's edge toward the center." Yemsua studied the data with growing alarm. "What kind of spiral?" "A hunting spiral," Chodeho replied quietly. "Like a predator circling its prey, getting closer with each pass." Even more disturbing was which targets were being chosen. Every facility or fleet that vanished belonged to species that had been loudest in mocking humanity at the council meeting. The Kethmori had laughed at human emotions. The Zephyrians had scorned human mathematics. The Vorthans had mocked human weapons. Dr. Park Sun-hee, now back on Earth, but monitoring galactic news, saw the pattern too. She tried to warn her old alien friends, but her messages never reached them. It seemed that all communication with human space had been completely cut off. On Zeph Prime, Master Zelmuth felt troubled. His student Park Sun-heath had warned him that humans became dangerous when cornered. At the time, he had dismissed her words as emotional thinking. Now, as reports of disappearances reached even his peaceful world of scholars, he began to wonder if he had made a terrible mistake. "Perhaps we should have listened more carefully to what the humans were really saying," he told his fellow masters. When their ambassador said they would remember, maybe she was not making an empty threat. But it was too late for second thoughts. The spiral was tightening, and the disappearances were getting closer to the galaxy's core worlds with each passing day. The strangest part was how clean each disappearance was. No signs of battle, no energy weapon discharges, no debris fields. Whatever was taking these stations and fleets was doing it without leaving any trace of violence. They were not being destroyed, they were being erased, as if they had never existed at all. The galaxy's greatest military minds tried to understand what kind of weapon could cause such complete disappearances, but they were thinking in terms of conventional warfare. None of them imagined that the humans had stopped playing by the old rules entirely. The warning came from the Deep Space Monitoring Station at Helix Nebula. Sensor operator Clixon was finishing his night shift when the long-range scanners picked up something impossible. Captain Jung, whom he called to his human supervisor, his insect-like voice clicking with excitement. "You need to see this immediately." Jung Hai-hung floated over to the sensor station. She was one of the few humans still working in neutral space, and her mixed alien crew trusted her judgment completely. What have you found, Clixon? The insectoid being pointed at his screen with one of his forearms. Ships, Captain. More ships than I have ever seen in one place. But look at the readings. Jung Hai-Hung studied the data and felt her blood turn cold. The sensors showed thousands of vessels moving in perfect formation through deep space. But the energy signatures were all wrong. The ships appeared as dark spots against the starfield, seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. Are you certain these readings are correct? She asked. I have checked 3 times, Captain. The sensors detect mass and movement, but no energy signatures, no heat emissions, no communication signals. It is as if they are made of pure darkness. Jung Hai-Hun activated the emergency communication array. This is Helix Station to all vessels in the sector. We have detected a large fleet of unknown origin moving through Grid 77 Alpha. All ships should maintain safe distance and report any contact immediately. The response came faster than expected. Admiral Vextelen, of the Crystalline Defense Corps, was leading a patrol in the area. His voice crackled over the communicator, filled with confidence. Helix Station, this is Admiral Vextelen. My fleet will investigate these unknown vessels. Probably smugglers trying to hide their energy signatures. We will handle this. Admiral, I strongly advise caution, Jung Hai-Hung replied. These readings are unlike anything in our databases. But Vextelen had already cut the communication. His 12 ships moved toward the mysterious fleet with weapons charged and shields at maximum power. What happened next was recorded by every sensor in the sector. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds. The first surprise came when the crystalline fleet opened fire. Their plasma cannons were among the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, capable of melting through any known armor. But the energy beams passed straight through the dark ships as if they were not there at all. The second surprise came when the dark ships responded. They did not fire weapons in any recognizable sense. Instead, space itself seemed to bend around the crystalline vessels. One moment, the ships were there. The next moment, they simply were not. Captain Kim Taeyong, of the cruiser Eternal Wisdom, managed to send one final transmission before his ship vanished. They are not using advanced technology. They are using different physics. Our weapons cannot touch them because they exist in a different state of matter. They are not destroying us. They are unmaking us from reality itself. His voice cut to static as the Eternal Wisdom ceased to exist. Jung Hai-Hung watched in horror as 12 proud warships simply disappeared without leaving any debris, any energy discharge, or any proof they had ever been there. The dark fleet continued on its path as if nothing had happened. Clixon, she whispered, run a spectral analysis on those ships. I need to know what they are made of. The insectoid worked frantically at his controls. After several minutes, he looked up with his large compound eyes, wide with terror. Captain, the quantum signatures match human technology, but evolved far beyond anything we thought possible. These are human ships, but they have been built using principles of physics that should not exist. Across the galaxy, other encounters were taking place. A Vorthan battle group tried to intercept another dark fleet formation. Their admiral, certain that superior firepower would win the day, ordered a full assault. The human ships responded by phasing in and out of normal space, appearing inside the Vorthan vessels, and then departing, leaving the enemy ships as empty hulks floating in space. The few survivors described weapons that did not destroy matter, but instead convinced it to stop existing. They spoke of human ships that moved like liquid shadow, bending the laws of physics as easily as a child bends. Dr. Yoon Ji-hoon, monitoring the reports from his secret laboratory deep in human space, allowed himself a small smile. The mockery of the Galactic Council had driven humanity to achievements they never would have reached on their own. When the aliens called human mathematics primitive, Earth's greatest minds had used those same equations to crack the source code of reality itself. The dark fleets were not just ships, they were applied mathematics, made manifest moving through space by convincing the universe to let them break its rules. Phase 1 is complete, he reported to his superiors. The galaxy now knows that we exist, and that we are no longer bound by conventional physics. Phase 2 can begin. In the depths of space, the Reaper fleets continued their silent advance toward the core worlds. Behind them, entire star systems had been quietly evacuated, their populations relocated to places where the coming storm would not reach them. The aliens had wanted to exclude humanity from their civilized galaxy. Soon they would have their wish. There would be no aliens left to maintain that civilization. The planet Nexus Prime had been the center of galactic civilization for 10 million years. Its massive cities stretched across 3 continents, connected by bridges that reached into the clouds. The planetary defense system was powered by the captured energy of an entire star, creating shields that could stop any known weapon in the galaxy. When the human fleet appeared in the system, it blotted out the stars themselves. Council Prime. Zelthar stood in the great observation chamber, his 6 arms trembling as he watched the approaching darkness. Behind him, representatives from every remaining alien species crowded together in fear. Many were the same beings who had laughed at humanity just a few years before. Activate all defensive systems, Zelthar commanded. Deploy the Starcore shields at maximum power. The ancient defense grid came online, surrounding the planet with layers of energy that could stop entire fleets. The shields glowed with the power of a sun, creating a barrier that had never been broken in all of galactic history. The human ships reached the shield perimeter and simply passed through it, as if it did not exist. Impossible, whispered Admiral Kekstar, his blue scales now pale with terror. Nothing can penetrate the Starcore shields, but the dark ships continued their approach, moving like smoke through the supposedly impenetrable barrier. As they drew closer, the aliens could see that the vessels were not just black, they seemed to absorb light itself, creating holes in space where they passed. Then, instead of the expected attack, something unexpected happened. Every communication device on the planet activated at once. Screens lit up in every building, every ship, every personal communicator. The same message played simultaneously across the entire world. The voice was calm, familiar, and terrifyingly human. Citizens of the Galactic Council, said Ambassador Kim Gisu, her image appearing on every screen. I have returned to deliver humanity's final judgment. She looked exactly as she had during that humiliating day in the council chambers, but her eyes now held knowledge that made even the ancient beings tremble. You mocked our mathematics, calling them primitive childish games. Those same equations allowed us to decode the fundamental structure of reality itself. We learned to rewrite the laws of physics like editing a simple document. Dr. Han Mingi appeared beside her, gesturing to displays showing impossible equations. You scorned our chemical weapons, while we discovered how to weaponize the quantum foam that exists between atoms. Your energy shields protect against matter and energy, but they cannot stop us from convincing space itself to move aside. The camera shifted to show Captain Yoon Ji-hoon standing on the bridge of the flagship Transcendence. Behind him, through transparent walls, the aliens could see the interior of the human vessel. It was not built from metal and circuits, but from crystallized mathematics, equations made solid and given form. You dismissed our emotions as weaknesses, Yoon Ji-hoon continued. You never understood that love makes us fight harder for what we protect, and hatred makes us more thorough than any purely logical species could ever dream of being. The transmission showed images from across the galaxy, alien worlds being systematically dismantled, their populations relocated to a single star system. But this was not destruction. The human ships took apart entire civilizations with surgical precision, preserving every life while removing every trace of their technology and independence. The Zephyrians, who laughed at our simple counting, now live in a system where mathematics itself has been simplified to basic addition and subtraction, Kim Ji-soo explained. The Vorthans who mocked our primitive weapons now exist in a space where the most advanced tool they can create is a sharpened stick. Council Prime Zelthar tried to speak, his ancient voice cracking with desperation. Please, we can negotiate. We were wrong to reject you. Humanity can join the Council as equals. The human transmission paused, and for a moment, Kim Jisu's expression softened with something that might have been pity. You still do not understand, she said gently. There is no council anymore. There is no galactic civilization. You sought to exclude us from your community of advanced species, and we have granted your wish completely. The screens showed the final phase of humanity's plan. Every alien species that had participated in the rejection was being relocated to a single solar system, surrounded by barriers of twisted space-time that would keep them safely contained. They would live, but they would live as exhibits in humanity's cosmic museum. Your new home has been prepared with great care, Dr. Han Mingi explained. You will have everything you need to survive, and even thrive, but you will never again travel between the stars. You will never again mock other species for their limitations. The great chamber fell silent except for the quiet sobbing of several alien representatives. They had ruled the galaxy for millions of years, and now they were being treated like children who had misbehaved. Captain Yoon. Ji-hoon's final words echoed through every speaker on the planet. Humanity now inherits the galaxy you deemed us unworthy to share. We will remember your lesson about judging others too quickly. The next species we encounter will be treated with the respect you refused to show us. The transmission ended, and the human ships began their work. Within hours, Nexus Prime was empty except for the automated systems that would maintain it as a monument to fallen arrogance in their new prison paradise. The former rulers of the galaxy finally understood the true meaning of Ambassador Kim Gi-su's parting words so long ago. Humanity had indeed remembered.